So assertive versus aggressive letter writing. Most of the people, they confuse emotion with contractual letters. So how to write an assertive letter without showing any aggressiveness or emotions, and how to convert these letters into contemporary records. What are the elements should be part of these letters? So let's start with. So most of the letters start with a fight. Contractual letter means it's a fight. Even some clients think that when you have a good relationship with your contractor and your contractor sends a contractual letter, they automatically thinks that we are going into a fighting mode, which is not so. What if your letters could solve problems instead of creating one? It is not about being nice or soft. It is being about smart, firm, and assertive, and using these contractual letters for your legal defending or your claims in later stages. So let's see one by one. For example, there is a delayed work. The aggressive tone of letter might be, you have delayed the work again. Your incompetence is unacceptable. There are so many letters like this. I think you might have also seen so many letters from your employers to contractors. If you are a subcontractor, you might have seen that from the contractor. So how it can be written? The work on section B is behind schedule. As per class 8.4, we request an updated recovery plan by 30 September 2025. So it clearly mentions the area of delay, and it clearly mentions that it is behind the schedule. So letter date itself says that it's already behind the schedule. And when a clause comes that there is an entitlement under the contract which asks you to submit a recovery schedule. So if this is not being followed, you are not following the contract, you are breaching the contract. Non-payment issues, pays immediately or face legal action. This is ridiculous. You might have seen most of the people in procurement and construction, contracts management might have seen this letters or emails. So instead this, you can write, invoice number 1 or 2 remains unpaid beyond 30 days. Kindly release the payment as per the clause 14.2 to avoid default interest. See, it clearly says which invoice is pending. Most of times we even write the date of the invoice, and it says that the credit period is over. The 30 days says the credit period is over, and kindly release the payment, which is under the obligation of the contract clause 14.2, and it also says to avoid default interest. It very clearly says the consequence, but still it maintains the assertive tone. The next example is quality. If someone is facing poor quality, the usual form of writing a letter is, the material you supplied are terrible. How can you expect us to accept this and pay you? But instead, the contractual letter should be like, the materials delivered on 10 September, you might even refer the MRN number, do not meet the specifications with reference to the contract clause 10.1. Please replace the defective items. We are giving them a chance under the contract within a cure period of 15 days. The 15 days is a cure period. So it's very clear that we are following the notice under the contract. We are following the that the opposite party is violating the specifications. So it gives them a chance to explain them properly. The above letter will not get you a proper response. The below letter will get you a proper response and will try to solve the problem. See, when sometimes you start writing letters, you don't write the letters for the organization. You start writing the letter for the opposite guy who you know is going to respond for this letter. No. Every letter should be written in a manner that at any time it is going to be read by, if it goes to an litigation or arbitration, it's going to be read by a judge or it's going to be read by a lawyer. So he has to understand the clarity in the letters. Site access issue. So you have blocked our address this is sabotage, this is ridiculous, we cannot enter the site, and we are not able to progress. This is a very common kind of letter writing or email writing. Instead, you can write that access to the area 6 has been restricted since 5th September as per the class 4.5. Please provide access to avoid work delays. So this has the area, the geography, and its reference, and the access is denied from so and so date. These kind of letters will act as delay notices, and these delay notices will support you in preparing your delay analysis in later stages. Either it might be a prospective or retrospective. This 5th September will play a role, and there is a class reference. Whether it is a compensable delay or whether it's an excusable delay, the class decides. And please provide access to avoid work delays. So we are giving them the notice of delay. Unapproved variations. So when someone enters into additional work without an approved instruction or a variation from the client, or if it is between a contractor and subcontractor, if the subcontractor does a new job or an additional job without the written variation from the employer. So why did you make these changes without the permission? We are not accepting this. We have seen so many letters like this, right? So instead, whether you are an employer writing to the contractor or a contractor writing to a subcontractor, instead you try this. A variation on pipe layout was executed without the approval. As per the clause 13.2, kindly submit the formal variation request for assessment. See, this is very clear. You don't know the reason for additional work, right? Either that might be an additional work due to the contractor's own mistake, for which it never becomes a variation, it's just a repair of or a redesigning of a faulty work. So this gives a chance of explaining the other party in a detail. So your letter should promote the communication, and it keeps the project rolling. End of the day, you write letters to keep the project alive, to complete it on time, to put it back to the work for the public. Safety non-compliance. So your team is reckless, someone will get hurt. Instead, several safety breaches were observed on 12th September. As per the class 6.3, corrective action is required immediately. So this triggers them to submit the corrective action. See, there will always be a communication between both the safety professionals from both the parties. But when it becomes contractual, it is a bit more serious. And even this is not for a contracts manager. Even a safety manager who is communicating with the safety manager of the contractor or the subcontractor has to use this tone to write their emails, so that these letters or emails will later help us in defending our position or in claims. So you focus that on, see, when you start working in a way that you might have a claim and you have to work for it, you mostly avoid the claims. Defective works. Your work is unacceptable and must be redone now. It's a very common tone. So it can be written as that. So what is the work? The concrete finished on Bay 5 does not meet the tolerance standards as per the clause 11.1, the specifications. Please rectify within 7 days. So you are giving a cure notice, clearly saying which part is being affected, when it is being affected, and what is the entitlement under the clause. Slow response to queries. You never respond to our queries. The delay is attributable to you, or delay is your fault. How it can be written? The responses to the RFI number 45 and 46 are pending. So kindly reply by 25th September to avoid schedule impact. So you are giving a delay notice with the clarity that there is a tolerance still up to 25th September. If we are not getting, it will have a schedule impact. Resource shortage. So you are non-productive. Your team is non-productive. Your team is incompetent. They doesn't have the capacity to do the work. This is a very common statement. See, this is an important notice that you are noticing a disruption in the project. Disruptions are usually connected with loss of productivity and incompetence with the resources. So that has to be properly recorded. So how to record? So resource allocation on the site D is below agreed levels as per the class 8.7. Please mobilize additional staff by 28th September. So you are giving a notice to avoid a disruption. This is a disruption notice, and you are clearly giving a deadline so that it will not impact the schedule. If it goes beyond 28th September, it is going to definitely impact the schedule. And you are not, if any further delays, if it's a contractor sending to subcontractor, they might impose LD in later stages. Design issue. Your design is a disaster. Please fix it immediately. This usually happens between contractor and subcontractors. So design drawings for HVAC do not comply with the specification class 9.3. Please revise and resubmit by 5th October. So you might think that this is a contractual letter a contracts manager has to write. Not necessary. The only contractual matter is class 9.3. An engineering manager or an engineer who is dealing with the particular issue can draft an email having this backup. If the team is being empowered, everybody has to know the contract they're working for. Otherwise, it's waste of time. I have seen that most of the employees design team and contractors design team, they are completely unaware of contract and they keep making comments, rectifying them, designs, redesigning them. If you empower them with the contractual requirements and the boundaries, the obligations, the risks, definitely it will have a significant impact in finishing the design on time. Please try this. Late material delivery. So you are unreliable. Material should have been reached a week ago. In EPC, we used to say that whenever we speak with a vendor or subcontractor, when the subcontractor asks back, when you need the material, it's a phrase, it's a joke. Always we say that we need yesterday. That's true. Most of the time, the requirement comes at the very at the neck of the moment, and we pressure the vendor, and the vendors will promise a delivery date and they will miss the delivery date. So how to deal with this? So the delivery of the steel beams was scheduled for 1st September as per the class 7.2. Kindly expedite the delivery to prevent further delays. This is a notice of delay which you can later use for the imposing liquidated damages. Change in scope. You change the scope without permission. We don't agree. In some contracts allows a scope change by the employer without the consent of the contractor. True. But still, you can always have a discussion. Even the contract gives such leverage. There is a fairness where you have to discuss with your contractor before descoping. If the descoping is minor, it's not going to affect them. If descoping is going to be major, please ready for a claim from the contractor. So, write like this. The scope adjustment for electrical panels was implemented without approval. Kindly submit the variation request as per the class 13.4. So this is where the instruction is not from the employer, but the contractor has made the modifications, and this request for an variation request to given formal approval. Defective communications or defective documentations. Your reports are useless. Do them properly. This usually comes for the monthly progress report you used to submit or the recovery schedule you used to submit. They just reject in a single word. You have to write the reason why you are rejecting the document or the procedure or the schedule. The submission of the daily reports for 10 to 15 September is incomplete. Please provide the missing information by 24 September, class 5.6. See, this is a very important evidence. When tomorrow the contractor comes for a claim and he uses the daily reports as the backup for their claim, if these daily reports were not challenged in a proper manner, then you cannot defend them when it goes to a formal tribunal or formal dispute resolution. So whenever you reject something, you avoid your emotional tone and put maximum information as possible: when, where, why, how. Try to answer all these questions in the letter before you respond. So every word in your contract letter matters. Aggression sparks conflicts. Assertiveness earns respect. Not just respect, you earn even cost and profit due to assertiveness. So please master the skill of being assertive and reap the fruits. And this is not just for the contract managers, this is for project managers, because in most project managers deals with the first contractual risk. So project managers has to learn this a lot, and even other parts of the departments like QA, QC, quality, safety, engineering. So we were discussing all the departmental issues, right? Right from the design, quality, procurement, construction. So this has to be empowered with all the team. So every email will be solid and it will act as an evidence in later stages. When you feel that the opposite party is having good evidences, you don't make mistake, right? So this is the way that will bring a project or complete a project on time with quality and delivery. Thank you.